Hello, Ross here from Primal Academy. What you're going to learn in the next few minutes is why so many trainers fail to get good results with clients when it comes to nutrition, even though they know exactly what they're talking about. You're going to see that the coaching side of your job is just as important, if not more important, than what you actually know. You're going to see the best methods for getting your clients to follow through on their food plans, which is 90% of the battle when you're working with people. Primal co-founder Darren is going to show you all this and more, and if you want to access more content like this, click the link below and join the free Academy membership. Here's Darren.
Hello and welcome back to Primal Academy's Coaching Nutrition Workshop. This is part 2. If you remember, in part 1 we looked at the key ingredient to coaching clients to results, which we learned was good nutrition, more importantly good nutritional coaching. The objective of this workshop is to teach you simple, effective nutritional protocols and provide you a step-by-step system for coaching clients to achieve their health goals. That's the important bit of coaching. So part 2, coaching confusion. In part 1 we looked at the importance of coaching nutrition. In this part we're going to look at the role of a nutritional coach and why so many coaches get it wrong. If you recall, we learned the most effective way to achieve positive body composition changes is to implement sound nutritional protocols, but we also learned that despite knowing this, around 30% of people in the UK are still trying to lose weight all the time, and only around 2% of those ever manage to lose weight and keep it off. These results are shockingly bad. Now, as an industry, we know what we should be doing, but we just don't know how to do it. So what's going on? Why so much confusion? Why are so many smart people getting so confused about how to use what we know works to get results? Well, the problem is that rather than coaching people, we tend to coach paradigms, and paradigms are confusing and contradictory, even for the professionals. Just consider how many times in the last 50 years or so that nutritional script has been flipped so many times. If we go right back to 1963, at the time it was common knowledge that if you wanted to lose weight and improve your health, it was simple. You just avoid starchy carbohydrates. That was sort of the known paradigm at the time. If you wanted to slim down, all popular slimming regimes back then involved restriction in dietary carbohydrates. If we go 20 years later, in 1983, we were told that that information was wrong. Carbohydrates, especially the starchier ones, were actually really good for us. It was dietary fats that we should avoid. And if we failed to avoid dietary fats, it would result in a long and agonizing death. This paradigm gave birth to the low-fat revolution, which of course saw millions of us turning our backs on those fatty villains and switching to foods high in carbohydrates and sweet sugar. All was well, of course, except it wasn't. In the mid-1990s, after following this new sweet and tasty nutritional advice, obesity rates actually rocketed. The US Center for Disease Control announced that we were in the midst of an epidemic, and a decade later, over 1.5 billion people worldwide were obese or dangerously overweight, with 64% of UK residents falling into that fat camp. Currently, in the UK, 26% of women and 23% of men in the UK are obese. Now, if you go back to the 70s, those figures were around 2%. So clearly, the nutrition paradigm that we've been advised wasn't working. At the same time as obesity was rocketing, type 2 diabetes began its climb to epidemic proportions, even losing its adult onset moniker. Some of the younger ones of you out there probably don't know that type 2 diabetes used to be called adult onset diabetes, but it lost that name because young children all around the world were rapidly falling victim to this previously quite selective disease. You used to have to be quite old to get it. Over a 25-year period, the World Health Organization found that the number of diagnosed diabetics had risen from around 30 million to over 300 million worldwide. Now, at the time, the health industry scratched its head. No one had a clue what was going on, and then a decade later, suddenly we did. it turned out that we had made another mistake. Low-fat foods were not good for us, but were in fact harmful. Not only that, but also the science upon which the low-fat, high-carb recommendations turned out to be pretty much entirely made up. It was a profit paradigm, not a health paradigm. So, hey presto, fats were back, carbs were outcasts again. This new old paradigm shift gave rise to a new wave of nutritional recommendations. Things like paleo or caveman diets became all the rage, as primal blueprint sometimes it's called as well. And they became all the rage as experts told us that we didn't even need carbohydrates. Then we found that people were beginning to suffer from adrenal problems, especially women. It's possibly due to very low carbohydrate intake. That's what a lot of professionals think, that if you haven't got carbs in your diet, yes, there's no such thing as an essential carb, but if you don't have carbs in your diet, very often this can place a lot of strain on the adrenal system. And so people started to suffer from adrenal, it's not called adrenal fatigue anymore, but from adrenal problems. So paleo and caveman diets, though all the rage, looks like probably that's not the answer either. At least we could all agree on the energy balance paradigm. That's something that's been around long time. As long as we eat fewer calories than we expend through activity, nothing can go wrong, right? Well, then people started to look at that a bit more closely, and we started to get books like The Calorie Myth, which were questioning whether calories were actually even the problem. So it's not about how much you eat, it's about what you eat. It's about quality, not quantity, right? Okay, brilliant, got it, sorted, no worries. Wait, so it's not fat or carbohydrates or paleo or calories or quality, it's about macros. As long as you get your macros, as long as it fits your macros, then you can eat what you like, there's no problem, it's all fine. That's all cleared up then, no more confusion. Sorted. Hang on, here comes a vegan. Right, none of this is to slam anybody's particular paradigm. Whatever food protocols, whatever food paradigm you personally follow, this isn't about smashing that and saying it's wrong. It's basically just about how confusing this all is. If you think these paradigms are confusing to us as professionals, well, how much sense do you think it makes to our clients when we start coaching them with paradigms? And I see this all the time. You should follow this type of diet. You should follow that type of diet. This diet's good for you. This diet's going to kill you. Now, as bad coaches, we tend to say when we're with our clients, you should eat paleo, you should go low carb, you should only eat real foods, whatever that means. You should eat anything as long as it fits into your macros. Plant-based is best. All of these are just buzzwords. They mean very little to your clients, and they focus on paradigms and personal beliefs, not people. And that's where we need to be coaching people, not paradigms. We know what this means for ordinary people. It means confusion. It means contradictory advice. But what does it mean for you as a coach? Well, it means that if you base your coaching on any of these paradigms, either you're going to be absolutely right, because the paradigm has to be right, or you're going to be completely wrong. It means that if your client doesn't buy into the paradigm you choose, or if they read something different, or if another coach, say, tells them that you're talking nonsense, they're not going to follow your plan, they're not going to follow your coaching, and they're not going to get results. It means that if your client does follow the plan, but they don't get results, you're much more likely then to blame them for the failure, because it can't possibly be the paradigm that's failed, right? It means that you're asking them to buy into your system of belief, your way of living, and to adopt a nutritional paradigm which you believe works for you, and may well do, but with no regard as to whether it will work for them, or whether it will even fit into their lifestyle, or whether they're even capable of following that paradigm. Your paradigm has nothing to do with your client or their coaching, their life or their goals. It's all about you and your beliefs, which means you're not a coach, you're a preacher. And no one wants to pay a preacher for nutritional advice. So, let's take a look at good coaching. Enough of what not to do. What should we be doing as good coaches? Well, a good coach is one that's client focused, not paradigm focused, and that's really the major difference. The best diet plan you can provide for your client is one they can actually follow, not one that you personally believe in. A good coach listens to their client and understands what they want. A good coach learns about their client and what's important to their client, identifies what obstacles might hinder their success and how they might overcome those challenges together. A good coach will regularly check progress and monitor things to see how things are going, and then be honest about the effectiveness of the plan and when the plan or the client fails, because at some time the plan will fail. A good coach knows how to make adjustments and get things back on track. Not many coaches do these things or even understand them, and that's why so many people fail to achieve their goals despite knowing what needs to be done in order to achieve those goals. So, put simply, your role as an effective nutritional coach is to cut through the confusion, provide your client with a step-by-step plan of action based on their goals, their lifestyle, and their abilities, and then work with them to make that plan so simple that they cannot possibly fail. Now, to do that, you're going to need a coaching process. That coaching process should include the following: prepare and send intake forms. That's your preparation stage. Without intake forms, without information, you don't know what you're doing. Next stage is to evaluate. You need to collect that client information in and evaluate it. Once you've evaluated it, you need to identify the client level. Where are they in their nutritional understanding and abilities, and the limiting factors that are preventing them from achieving success. You need to set goals with them. Those goals should be visualized. They should be based on emotions, linked to emotions, and they should be behavior based, not outcome based. Telling a client to lose a stone is pointless. Telling a client what behaviors they need to do in order to achieve that goal, that's proper coaching. Next stage, we need to plan and advise the client, and we must keep it simple. This is where a lot of people go wrong. They try to overcomplicate things, often just in order to sort of sound impressive. If it isn't a simple plan, it's not going to get followed. Number 6, we need to monitor how things are going. We've got to provide accountability. We've got to regularly check in. And this is probably one of the main areas that I see trainers fall down on again and again and again. They love writing the programs, they love doing the training sessions, but I see so many clients that go months and months and months without ever being reassessed. Nobody's monitoring what's actually going on. If you don't know what's going on, you can't adjust. You've got to observe, you have to get feedback, and then you tweak, because at some point the plan will fail. Now in part 3, we're going to go through this process step by step and show you how to use this system to give you the best chance of success with every client, every time. Okay, until then, eat well, rest well, keep learning, and please remember to disconnect from social media. Reconnect with friends and family and yourself. I'll see you next time.